Haikyo, abandoned place, ruins, words describing places of a forgotten past. Following a rapid industrialization and rebuilding both before and after World War II, the islands of Japan quickly transformed into one of the most modernized countries in the world. However, in its wake, certain areas of Japan remain unchanged. Their empty ruins stand as virtual snapshots of Japan's history. In some cases, they remain largely unchanged from their original states. Others instead reflect developing subcultures of a changing youth. Whether they're behind fences or deep in the woods, framed by cities or resting in quiet neighborhoods, these sites are the grounds of some of Japan's most notorious explorers, leaving safety behind for a momentary glimpse of a forgotten past.
嬉しさ、悲しみ、好奇心が一気にのしかかってきて、もうなんか味わったことのないような不思議な感情を抱きまして、それからですね、なんかね、分かんないんですけど、ひょっとするとその感情になんか依存性があるかもしれないですよね。またあの感じが味わってみたいなとかって思うようになって、そっからですかね。
I just thought, this seems like an interesting pursuit. I can practice my photography and go places that most people never get to see. So. I suppose most people have a sort of innate curiosity to explore and things. So I think most people kind of understand the interest in it, even if they don't particularly like looking at abandoned buildings. I think they can appreciate the curiosity and the adventure to be found is interesting. So I think a lot of people enjoy that part.
Urban explorers are often stigmatized as delinquents, bunched together with those whose intent is not to learn about the past but to loot and vandalize.
The fact that you go into these places is in itself usually illegal, right? It's trespass.
物を壊したり物を盗んだりしなくても、自分が住んでた自分の、今でも自分が所有している建物とかに勝手に入られるというのは気分がいいことじゃないでしょうから、特に、墓荒らしとかっていうふうに表現されてもそんなことはないぞっていうふうには思わないですね。そうですね。
Usually it's done with good intent, you just want to take pictures or to enjoy these places, to feel the connection to the past. We're not going to steal things, we're not burglars, just want to experience places that you can't really get to or feel in everyday life.
As with other abandoned places, Haikyo can be a breeding ground for graffiti. But is there artistic merit to be found?
程度によりますね。例えばもう本当に古くて築100年ぐらいの廃墟で自然にガラスが割れて壁に穴が開いて汚くなっているところに落書きをされると、なんてひどいことをするんだこいつらって思うんですけども、まだ廃墟になってから10年程度で自然の力で壁が崩れたりガラスが割れたりってすることはないようなところだと、逆にそうやって人が荒らしてくれるって言ったら言い方変ですけど、荒らしてないと廃墟の美しさっていうのは出ないんじゃないかなと思いますね。
It's a very difficult issue, yeah, because graffiti is something that wasn't there originally. It's something that's been added by people over the years. And also there's a question of the artistic quality of the graffiti. A single tag of a name is probably not at all aesthetically pleasing or interesting, but somebody who actually took the time to draw some really artistic mural or something on the wall, that might actually contribute. So it's a difficult question to answer. I'd say, personally, I think graffiti takes more away than it adds, and I personally think that graffiti is a bad thing. It shouldn't be added to Haikyo, but saying that, there are certain locations I've been to where graffiti has made them more interesting.
With urban exploring, there is always the possibility of physical harm or injury. Broken glass and unstable floors are but a few of the problems faced by everyday urban explorers.
Even with common sense and plenty of preparation, even the most sort of experienced explorer can have an accident. The floor just falls through, or a rusted staircase, the side of it collapses or something. And especially if you're exploring alone, which I think is a very bad idea, although I break my own rules quite frequently. Especially if you're alone, if you have an accident, then it's very difficult to get somebody to help.
危険って言いますけど、 別に特別廃墟が危険っていうわけじゃないと思うんですよね。廃墟に関してはマイナーな趣味なんで、その危険回避のノウハウっていうのがいまいちはっきりしてないわけじゃないですか。どうやって行くと安全だよとか、どういうふうにどういうところには近づかない方がいいよっていうのがあまりわからないし、行く人も比較的そういうことを気にせずに行ってる人が多いと思うんで、そういった面では危険だと思いますけども、特に廃墟は特別ずば抜けて危険だと思ったことはないんでね。
Despite all this, why do urban explorers face both physical and legal dangers, stigma and misunderstanding for the sake of exploration?
まあ実際に自分でもネットとかで廃墟のホームページとかブログとかを見て、おおすごいなとか感動したりドキドキしたりすることがあるんで、その気持ちを、自分も、見てもらった人にそのような気持ちになってもらえるようなものを配信したいなという思いからやってますね。初めて廃墟に行ったのが中学校の1年生の時だったんですけどね、その時にはまだインターネットとかっていうのが普及してなかったんで、いろいろ都市伝説とかあるわけじゃないですか。どこの県どこの地方でも。うちの地元の鳥取県には昔遊園地があって、で今でもその遊園地が使われないまま廃墟になって山の中に残っているっていう都市伝説があって、でしかもその廃墟として残っている遊園地の観覧車が無人で回っているんだぞっていういうふうに都市伝説があって、街中歩いているちょっと年配の人とかを捕まえて「本当に遊園地あったの?」みたいな質問をいろんな人にして、でようやく場所がどんどん情報を集めていって特定できて、で実際に行ってみるんですけども、なかなか見つからないわけですよ。毎週ほぼ土日は毎週のように探してたんですけど、もう最後の方にはダメだ、もう見つからないやってなってたんですよね。見つかりっこないって、こんなに探してないんだからという思いながら、また山道をバカみたいに一人で歩いていると、だから山の奥の方から誰もいない山なんですけどね、怪しい音が聞こえてくるわけですよ。どう説明しましょうね。ゴーンガラーンというような鉄の塊がぶつかり合ってるような変な音が響いてくるんで、別に単純になんか工場でもあんのかな、気になるからちょっとそっちに行ってみるかってことで駆け足で走っていくと、山の上の方に観覧車が見えているわけですよ。しかもその観覧車回ってるんですよ。もうこれは伝説の遊園地しかないだろうということで思って走っていくと、案の定鳥取プレイランドという名前の、その幻の遊園地の廃墟だったわけなんですよね。
So for me, I think urban exploration is both a mixture of like photography and exploration. I enjoy taking pictures and documenting places I visit, but also the sort of the thrill of maybe visiting locations that you're perhaps not supposed to go and finding things that you weren't expecting. You know, the exploration part. Well, the Royal House was one of the most interesting explorations I've ever done, really, mostly because of the history that I discovered after researching it, getting back home. So, originally a friend took me to a closely guarded location at that time, and there was only like one posting on the internet, and the author, a Japanese author, didn't reveal much about it at all. It's like he stopped like halfway through his article saying, "I can't reveal any more than this." So. And basically it was this really sort of luxurious house hidden in the Japanese countryside. And on the second floor there was sort of an alcove with loads of pictures, like family portraits and things. But one portrait in particular was really interesting because it was actually an official portrait of the imperial family, the Japanese imperial family. And these portraits were like only issued to schools and certain like prestigious households before the Second World War, and they were withdrawn as well and collected. So the fact that this portrait was there, I guess that's the reason the house got the nickname the Royal House, because of this connection. I was very worried about posting the pictures because previously the Japanese author hadn't posted any pictures of the family, the portraits and things. But I wanted, to sort of push the boundary a bit and sort of maybe try and solve the mystery, and find out exactly what this house was and if it really did have a connection to the royal family. So I sort of, I published these pictures that hadn't been published before, and this Japanese news site picked that up, and then people started talking about it. They would add information, background information that I just possibly couldn't know. The internet started, piecing bits of information together. And I found out about this message board, and I got involved a little bit directly, but mostly I was just posting information on my website, trying to sort of help them, help me discover what was going on. And it got really, really deep. I went back to the location a couple of times just for research, trying to find any more background information. Well, there was a portrait in the royal house of a foreign man, an older foreign man, which was interesting in itself because, abandoned Japanese house in the countryside. And this foreign guy, quite a nice, large portrait. And I found out who he was. And it turns out he was a millionaire pearl dealer from the UK. But it turns out the house itself wasn't owned by this foreign man, but it was owned by a Japanese member of the family he married into. And just researching all of this history and finding out the backstory to this house and about the lives of these people was just very, very interesting. Up until then, I'd only been an urban explorer in the sense that I would go to locations, abandoned locations, and take pictures, and just for sort of artistic purposes. But this was kind of the first opportunity for me to actually start looking into the past and learning a bit about the history, and it just sort of brought a whole new sort of angle to the whole exploration aspect. And it gave me a much better understanding of Japanese history in that respective niche, but also of sort of maybe ethical boundaries and just understanding that these abandoned places weren't devoid of owners. They're not just abandoned shells. They had people who lived there with past lives and things like that. So it brought a whole new level of dilemma to things in a way.
Wherever people have been, they leave their subtle marks. Silent from the outside, Haikyō reveal a history that speaks for itself. Written into every corridor and every wall, a story, and each one contributes to the tale of Japan itself. As another day ends, these buildings fall quiet, their halls empty once more, save for the infrequent sounds of their curious visitors.